Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live this morning, question and answer Friday. Hope you're having a great start to your day and you've had your vitamin C. And as usual, we'll do a little bit of a roll call this morning. And who's up number one coming up on my screen this morning? Francis Marie. Good morning. Andrea, Niagara Falls. John, Elgin, Illinois. Carrie from Nebraska. Rosa, good morning. And Rosalinda, Niagara Falls. Nick from our staff. And Linda, good morning. Marie. And Frida. Lots of rain. Yeah, lots of rain here too. Wendy, good morning from Markham. Edith. And Mary, another Mary. Julie. Sturgeon Falls. Annette. From Nouveau Brunswick, I believe. Karen. Kincardine. Jocelyn from Baxter. Vera. Newfoundland. Georgie. Halifax. Nova Scotia. Helena from Cambridge. Brahim from Portland, Oregon. Kevin, Oshawa. Serpa, Dowling, good morning. And she's at a retreat at ABK. Donna, good morning. Fran from Orangeville. Nellie, you're loud. Good morning. Deanna from LaSalle in Ontario. Alma, Sturgeon Falls. Dave, Milford Bay. Good morning. And David. Olive from Timmins. I never heard of Timmins. Where is that? Stephanie. From the South End. Renee. Susan. Hazel. St. John's, Newfoundland. Millika. Stouffville. Nancy. Iowa. Well, good morning, Iowa. Marina. Good morning. Lisa Marie. Mary. New Brunswick. Couple of more. Regina. And Dorothy. Good morning. Diane. Or Zian. Okay, let's get to the questions this morning. Charlene, experiencing a sore tongue. Dentist told me to check my thyroid. It's always a good idea to have your thyroid checked. We spent a lot of time on that the other night when we went over biomarkers and the secret sauce of checking your thyroid. We went over that. It's always good because thyroid is your gas pedal. Thyroid is a major driver of your metabolism. And for your dentist to say that, yeah. But usually with sore tongue, my experience shows that usually a couple of things. One, low in B12, okay? Anything in the mouth, oftentimes any, soreness or even a perverted taste or whatever, I always look at B12 and I often look at zinc. Low levels of zinc, low levels of B12. So I would tell you, Charlene, to look at that. Certainly thyroid. The problem with thyroid is the testing is, I don't want to use the word antiquated, but very few practitioners know how to properly look at the thyroid. But it's certainly worth looking at. And it depends on what your other symptoms are. Okay. But sore mouth, sore tongue, B12 is usually what I see, or zinc. Not eating enough steak. B12 too from steak, right? Sarah, does calcium inhibit iron absorption? No. Because when you eat steak, you get calcium. When you eat butter, you get calcium. In steak, you get calcium and iron, and you get a little bit of iron in butter and cheese, a little bit for a mouse, because the best source of iron is heme iron. So when you eat a steak, you got calcium in steak. Did you know that? But you got vitamin K2 with it. So what does K2 do? K2 takes the calcium that you're eating, steak, butter, cheese, eggs, and takes it and puts it where it belongs. Calcium belongs in your teeth and your bones. Your body needs calcium, but I don't like calcium supplements. If you're taking a calcium supplement, to me, you're making a mistake. You don't need it because I want you to eat it. There are certain things that you need to eat rather than supplement. I mean, supplements are good in a sense if they're therapeutic. I like that. But again, calcium is meant to be eaten. And God's way of putting stuff in nature is the best way to get your calcium. Because like I said, if you have butter, excellent source of calcium. If you have cheese, excellent source of calcium. Dairy is wonderful. Don't ditch dairy, switch dairy. I don't want you drinking milk, but cream is good, full of calcium, but also vitamin K2. Again, they're put together in nature. That's really important, okay? Claire, my distant cousin. Good morning. I hope you're listening this morning, Claire. What are my thoughts on dental implants? Well, not really my expertise, but oral health is important, because, for example, seniors, a lot of times they lose their teeth, okay? And then they can't chew properly, and dental implants are often recommended by their dentist. And, the only problem with implants is you got to mortgage your house to get them. I often used to tell my grandchildren, be a dentist. You got a license to print money. Now, we need them. But no, orally, look, I guess, you're putting, titanium or whatever they put in the implants in your mouth. Is that the very best thing for you? Well, again, I sort of defer to oral health. What I look at in oral health, if you are getting dental implants or whatever, then make sure you're taking oil of oregano for mouth health. For any chelating that you want to do, make sure you're taking probiotics, Claire, and then I got no issue with those things, okay? And Susanna, if someone has a fatty liver, okay, does that mean that much of the food we eat or supplements we take is not getting properly absorbed in the body? Thank you. Well, Susanna, no, okay, because fatty liver does nothing as far as absorbing food. The absorption of food takes place in your small intestine. And for that to be effective, you need a good stomach. You need a good stomach. You need the proper acidity in your stomach. Your stomach is a furnace in with a very, very low pH, and that is, you need that for absorption of food. A lot of people, they, and you know what I've said about that, Susanna. Okay, if not, it bears repeating. What destroys your stomach is sugar and not eating meat. Okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, listen, your body is meant, you're a human being. You got a couple of things that are really important as part of your digestive tract. One of them is your gallbladder. God gave you a gallbladder. Why did he give you a gallbladder? because he wants you to eat animal fat, steak, eggs, cheese. When someone tells you you shouldn't be eating that, just remind them that you've been given a gallbladder. A cow doesn't have a gallbladder. A rabbit doesn't have a gallbladder. They don't need it. They eat grass, glorified salad. But when people insist on eating fat-free, they lose their gallbladder. 2, if people insist on not eating red meat, I feel sorry for people because they've been duped. They lose their acidity in their stomach. One of the biggest problems in society as far as digestion is a pH in the stomach that is not right. And then your body tries to overcompensate. It creates acid reflux. Listen, acid reflux is use it or lose it. Just like your gallbladder. Why do millions of women, mostly, lose their gallbladder? Because they don't use it. Bile, that little reservoir, is meant to be used. Your stomach acidity is meant to be used. The reason you have such an acidic stomach, or at least you should have, is so that you can eat steak. Not chicken. Although you need acidity for chicken too. But you need even more for red meat. It's one of the reasons I tell people, you know why you got so much acid reflux? Because you're a carboholic. You're a carboholic. You're not eating enough red meat. Hello? And I know it goes against the grain. I know it's not the narrative today, in this day and age. I know all that. But I'm sorry. That is just anatomy. It's physiology. It's the way your body operates. You know, you can deny it. I don't care what the world out there says. You know, don't eat meat and, you can live on fruits and vegetables. Sure, you can live on fruits and vegetables, but that doesn't mean it's good for you. You can live on McDonald's. That doesn't mean it's good for you. You won't live well, and it'll eventually catch up to you because you are missing fat-soluble vitamins. You're going against nature. There you go. Okay? So fatty liver, by the way, how do you get fatty liver? Okay, Susanna, how do you get fatty liver? Being a carboholic and a sugarholic. Your fat in the liver I talked about it yesterday. Fructose fatty liver. But yeah, it has, it's an important part of your digestion, but it's not for the absorption of your food. That's not what your liver does. Okay? That's not what your liver does. Your liver is really important. You can't live without it. And it is a very important organ. It does about 600 different things. One of them is that produces bile. Okay? Really good. Thanks for the question, Susanna. It allowed me to pontificate. Okay. Robin, an article from the American Heart Journal said red meat triggers the body to produce more gut bacteria. Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? Now, I didn't read the article. So, Robin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go read the article. Like, was it negative on red meat or was it positive? Okay. It's good to produce gut bacteria. Okay? It is a good thing. Now, there's a difference between good and bad bacteria. And I've always said this. Always said. As a matter of fact, let me bring you to another question. Okay? Let me bring you to another question because people are asking me this. Where is it? Okay, let me just see who asked this question too. Oh, Leslie, can you discuss butyrate and probiotics as well as prebiotics? Why not? This is a good time, Leslie, to do it. Okay. And Robin, again, if, like I said, I'm going to go read this study because usually the studies on red meat are negative. Okay. They're negative. And again, it's religious. The world has become religious on the climate. And, what does food have to do with the climate? Well, they don't want you eating meat. They don't want you eating meat. They want you to eat, you can have protein from bugs. Ooh. I'm not eating bugs. Okay, I'm not John the Baptist. He was eating locusts and honey. The honey I like, the locust not so much. Okay, I am not eating bugs. I refuse. Okay, now let's get back to the question here. Okay, and Leslie is saying, can you discuss butyrate? Okay. Now, what butyrate is, okay, spelled B-U-T-Y. Beauty. Rate. R-A-T-E. Okay? What is that? Well, that's a byproduct of fermentation. Now, if you Google it, okay, it will talk to you about when fibers get into your gut, they're fermented. And one of the byproducts is butyrate. And that's, it sort of feeds the bacteria that are there. Now, I must admit I'm prejudiced. But I've been consistent. Just ask anyone who's around me or listens to what I've said. Here, for me, fiber is overrated. And here's what I mean by that. There are three things that are going to really destroy your gut. 1, sugar. 2, wheat. Okay? And because wheat ain't what it used to be. Plus 3, fiber. If most people don't realize this, you got a very small, comparatively, intestine. It seems large, but it really is not that long compared to a cow, compared to a rabbit. Fiber is overrated. Why? Because it clogs up what's already been clogged up. Like, why put more stuff in there when it's already clogged? Fiber, it comes from, listen, guys, I've been around a long time. I can tell you where the whole fiber thing came from. You know where it came from? It came from the cereal companies. It came from Dr. Kellogg's. Fiber. You can't live without fiber. Like, you get a prize for having a big poo? What prize do you get? But it's ingrained into our thinking. Well, fiber. And then they go, well, fiber gives you a prebiotic. Fibers are prebiotic. Yeah, but so's steak. So's butter. If you want butyrate, butter is butyrate because it's fermented when it gets down. So is cheese. I'd rather have that. then clog up the drain. You know, you got a drain. Why do you want to clog it up? You want nutriments. You want nutrients. Why would you not take a high nutrient? That's what your body is wanting. It doesn't want fiber that's not absorbed. You're not a rabbit. A cow has 4 stomachs. Why does it have 4 stomachs? Because it likes grass. And the grass goes through and comes back up, and they re-eat it. They regurgitate it. That's what a cow does. You're not a cow. You have 1 stomach and a smaller intestine. Okay? Like an ape has a really large intestine, larger than us. Why? Well, they're plants. They eat plants. That's what they're meant to eat. And I'm not telling you can't have anything from the plant kingdom. Don't get me wrong. Okay, please. I'm not saying that. But you better not avoid the animal kingdom food, because it's the king of the castle. It's what your body needs. Okay? So, and you know, like a prebiotic, okay? I like them because if you eat eggs, meat, and cheese, you get a lot of prebiotic. They feed your good bacteria. Now, is that red meat study, I don't know, triggers the body to produce more gut bacteria? Well, listen, you got trillions and trillions and trillions of bacteria in your gut. See, people have the idea that bacteria is bad for you. It's not bad for you. You need bacteria. But again, red meat doesn't trigger bad bacteria. Sugar does, because it feeds them. It feeds them. And good guys get fed by eggs, meat, and cheese. Okay. Thank you, Robin, for that question. Okay. Dale's asking about reverse osmosis. Well, look, that's a sort of a filtration where they send the water through a filtration, and it gets rid of the impurities in water. The only thing is, okay, when you drink tap water or whatever, and you, even in reverse osmosis, I'm not against it. All I'm saying is the number 1 water to drink is spring water, because it has all the minerals in it. It has a better pH of the water. Does that make, you know, reverse osmosis water no good for you? Nah, but it's better. There's better, there's good. Reverse osmosis is all good. You're drinking water. You know what I think of vitamin W? But the better one is spring water, if you're asking. Okay, if you're asking. I never thought in my lifetime, I always tell this to seniors like me, did you ever think we'd ever have to spend money for a bottle of water? Do you know what my sports drink was when I was a kid? The hose. Who'd ever thought we'd be buying water? But I like spring water, okay? Now, let me just see here if I answered everything with Dale, okay? So, and I don't like distilled water. There's absolutely no minerals in it. I like, again, spring water. Okay. Now, you can put a little bit of salt in your water, and now you got spring water. Dale, is it the same one? I'm not sure. The same Dale, just the second part to the Lumen device. It helps keep track on your metabolism. Don't waste your money. In my opinion, it's a scam. Okay? Keeping track on your metabolism. Well, if you eat right, if the majority of your food is eggs, meat, and cheese, I'm going to tell you, that'll do more for your metabolism than anything else. And to keep track of it, I wouldn't spend a lot of money on that stuff. It's better once or twice a year, get your blood work done. It'll tell you everything from your A1C to your triglycerides, your HDL. You want to know how your metabolism is? I can tell you by looking at your blood work. I can tell you exactly what's happening with your metabolism. No, I wouldn't waste my money. Okay. What causes potassium levels to... Well, two questions. Alicia and Janet, what causes potassium levels to drop suddenly? Or wondering why potassium levels stay high? That's Janet. Alicia is asking what about if they drop suddenly? Well, look, they can drop suddenly. Someone that has diarrhea and, sick or a flu or, like ulcerative colitis or some kind of digestive issue. And boy, you can lose potassium. You can lose that mineral for sure. Suddenly. Yep, it can happen. It can happen overnight. And that can be dangerous. Okay, that can be dangerous. Severe dehydration can cause potassium levels to drop. Okay? Now, on the other side of it, and Janet is asking, what would keep them high? High potassium is usually, not because you're eating bananas, okay, that they always tell you to eat bananas for potassium. I like eggs, meat, and cheese for potassium. Okay? But if your potassium levels are high, it's usually a kidney. It's usually an indication that your kidneys are under stress. Okay? And that can be for different reasons. The hardest thing on your kidneys is sugar. And that can really mess up your potassium. Your body has, it's sort of an equilibrium. It's a real balance there. Because your body knows if you're short on something, it compensates. And when the kidneys get stressed, the kidneys are a real, the light goes on in your body to try and adjust the levels between potassium and sodium and magnesium. Your body works unbelievable to do that. So when those things get out of whack, I often look at the kidney function. Okay? Laura, my son has hyperhidrosis. You know what hyperhidrosis is? Sweats. Constantly, the hands, the armpits, sweating. And it's no fun. No fun. And again, what I found over the years, okay, is there a deficiency? When I saw this in my office, sometimes I would see a vitamin D deficiency. Okay, so that, and again, it ain't gonna get flagged by most physicians. Why is that? Well, because, we talked about this on the webinar the other night. The ranges. And, if it's within the range, they don't even talk about it. I was talking to a young lady last night, and I said, well, what's your B12 numbers? I'd like to see them, because we were talking, I could tell by looking at her, she was anemic. She said, yeah, how do you know that? Well, I can see it. Not only pale, but I can see your under your eyes, you're anemic. You look like Casper the Ghost. You don't have enough, but anemia, I said, anemia, there's more than iron to anemia. Oh yeah, they said my iron was low. I said, I'm more interested, not that I'm not interested in iron, but I'm much more interested in your B12 levels. Okay? Because B12 is very, very important part of that component. And a lot of people, because they don't get flagged. Vitamin D, they don't get flagged, even though it's in the low end of that range. So when they suffer from that sweating, the tap never closes off, look at vitamin D, sometimes B12 can be deficient in those things. Okay? So try that. Not always easy to stop that, Laura, from happening. Okay? Diane, what do you do when you have too much calcium in your blood that is blocking your arteries? Well, that's a good question, Diane. Okay? Because a lot of people, they have that. One of the ways to find that out is doing a scan on your arteries. And, you know, like even your neck, okay, arteries, they can scan that and see if you have calcium that's built up there. Now, calcium didn't come from calcium per se, okay? It comes from free radical damage that often comes from, you know, again, if you go back, we talk about this, the seeds of disease. One of them is high circulating insulin. If you eat wrong and you're a carboholic and a sugarholic, the liver and insulin, when your insulin goes up, your body creates an inflammation response to that. Okay? So inflammation, as we say, is not Houdini. But inflammation over a period, inflammation is good because it's your body's ambulance system. So again, if you get hit, you know, you're in the arm, you rub and you're bringing extra blood supply and enzymes and protein and all the things you need to help to heal. That's a good thing. But what if it lasts for a while? Well, that inflammation becomes a two-edged sword. It starts to damage blood vessels. And by the way, there's nothing that will damage your blood vessels faster than sugar. Your body keeps your blood sugar in a very, very tight range because sugar is so toxic it destroys blood vessels and plaque. Okay? Calcified plaque. Not good because it blocks. It's not cholesterol. Cholesterol is at the scene. Just like the firemen are at the scene of a fire. Of course they're at the scene. They're the good guys. Why are police at the crime scene? Because they're the good guys. Okay? Police are the good guys. The firemen are the good guys. Cholesterol is a good guy. It's not the bad guy. So calcified plaque, high insulin, sugar, destructive because of the inflammation that it creates. And inflammation starts to destroy the endothelial layer of your blood vessels. That's what causes plaque to form. And now I'll answer the question, what helps the endothelial restore? Couple of things. One, I love vitamin D. Why is that? Because when you take vitamin D, the sun is very good for your blood vessels. You know why? It elevates your nitric oxide. What is nitric oxide? It opens up your blood vessels. Probiotics, they're chelators. They help to take calcified blood vessels and help to chelate that. Vitamin K2, when you eat cheese, when you eat butter, very high in vitamin K2. And K2 takes calcium out of the bloodstream and puts it where it belongs. Why do you think I want you to eat eggs, meat, and cheese all the time? Navitol, pine bark, excellent. Why? Elevates nitric oxide. Opens up blood vessels. It's very important, guys. I love high DHA. Why do I love omega-3 fatty acids, especially the DHA? Because they lubricate. You need lubrication. You need an oil change if you have calcified blood vessels. Thanks for the question, Deanna. Or Diane. Sorry, Diane. I thought I saw an A there. I'm getting old. Okay. And Lise, why does acidic foods cause stomach irritation and pain with reflux? Well, really, it's not so much the acidic foods. Now, once you have in your stomach, once the pH has changed and you create acid reflux, okay? I told you what caused it already. It's not acidic foods. Because people think, oh, tomatoes, that's acidic. Yeah, but not once it gets into your body. It actually becomes alkaline. Because your body releases sodium bicarbonate, baking soda. Your body has baking soda. Oh, Dr. Martin, coffee is acidic. No, it's not. It's alkaline once you drink it. So's a tomato. Okay? Becomes alkaline. Your body knows how to buffer that. But when you do have a stomach that's not working properly because you didn't use it properly, use it or lose it. Now, things like tomatoes and other things can bother it. But that's not the bottom line. That's not the bottom line. Now you got to go fix it. Digestive enzymes. Make sure you take digestive enzymes with a lot of amylase, protease, lipase. Really helps digestively. I'm big on that. I'm big on probiotics. You know me and probiotics. They help everything from your mouth to your bottom of your gut. Believe you me. They really help in absorption and digestion. Okay? My naturopath said I have dysbiosis. Well, dysbiosis is when the Third Army has invaded and you get a yeast, and I wouldn't disagree with that naturopath. I'm a big guy on treating SIFO. Not SIBO, but SIFO. And that's really a problem of the small intestine, where you get an overgrowth. It's a yeast overgrowth, for sure. Bacteria might be there, but don't focus in on the bacteria. Focus in on the yeast and don't feed the bears. No more sugar. Okay. Francis. Could the return of high cortisol, okay, the stress hormone, even in such a short period of time, lower my immune system? Absolutely it could. Do you know that they've done studies on this, by the way? You miss one night's sleep, which will elevate your cortisol. You got elevated cortisol, stress. That's cortisol. Got it? Cortisol. Stress. That, okay, can cause insomnia. And insomnia causes cortisol to go up. If cortisol goes up, your immune system goes down because your body is in the fight or flight. It's not thinking about fighting a bug. It's thinking about fighting someone else. And your immune system, they've shown, you miss a night's sleep. I've often said this. You're going on a cruise. You get up early and, you can hardly sleep the night before because you got to get a plane at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning you're up, or 4 o'clock in the morning you're up in the middle of the night. And then you go on a cruise, and I mean, isn't it wonderful, the sun and whatever, and then, holy moly, I got a cold. How did I get a cold? I got Dr. Martin's Viderma. I know, but you missed out on sleep, and your immune system went down, and blah, 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 blah. Happens. Okay? Good question. It can do that. And Frances was saying that she got COVID. Well, it's good to get COVID. Seriously, guys. It's good to get a bug, to get a virus every once in a while. It actually is good for you because your body builds immunity. Someone that tells me I never get sick, Dr. Martin, ever. Be careful. Okay? Be careful. It's not a bad thing. Your body builds immunity. And, the thing is, when you do get COVID, how sick do you really get? Okay? So, anyways, good question. Okay, let me see now. We are at Cheryl. Is it good to donate blood to help reduce iron buildup from your tissue? Sure, Cheryl, it's one way. It's one way to, donate blood. And when people have a high iron, now see, why do they get in high iron? Why do we see that today? Low iron, they don't eat meat. And high iron, because their liver is full of fat. And now the iron accumulates. Heavy metals love fat. And iron can, get gummed up. But I always say, you probably got a fatty liver and you don't even know about it. So empty the liver, do the reset. But yeah, one of the ways, and that's how medicine treats it often, is you donate blood. You go and have blood taken out of your body to thin it out. But it comes right back, usually. If you don't fix the real problem, the root of the problem. Heather, how long does it take the body to reduce A1C? By restricting sugar and carbs? Well, usually about 3 or 4 months for A1C, because A1C, remember, is a 3-month average. Okay, A1C is glycated hemoglobin. What's that mean? Well, red blood cells, sugar attaches to them. And then they measure it. But it's an average. 3 months. So Rome wasn't built in a day, folks. Okay? It takes a little bit of time for A1C. Why do I love A1C? Insulin resistance. It's one of the best tools for me when I look at blood work and I see your A1C. If it's anything over 5.4, you got insulin resistance. It may be even a little bit lower than that for people. But generally, that's normal, by the way, in medicine's terms, because they're not thinking of insulin. They're thinking of diabetes. Okay? They're thinking of diabetes. Okay. Neck arteritis. Okay? Arthritis or arteritis? The neck arteries? I talked about that, Connie. If you're talking about arthritis, okay? Arteritis is inflammation of those blood vessels. Okay? And usually, and we see it more frequently, there's a lot of inflammation. And again, you get to the root causes of inflammation. Get to the root causes that I talked about earlier on the program today. Last question. Vicky, good morning, Vicky. How would the reset benefit someone whose thyroid was removed? Well, listen, the reset benefits everyone and for everything because you're changing fuels. The reset is meant to fix insulin resistance. If you fix insulin resistance, okay, it takes 30 days to fix insulin resistance. When you fix that, your body responds. Your thyroid responds. If you don't even have a thyroid, well, even more reason. Okay, because your liver, it's really important. The reset is meant to empty your liver. It's meant to lower inflammation. It's meant to help with your hypothalamus and your hippocampus in your brain, because you're changing fuels. You're getting rocket fuel. Rocket fuel. Your body will love it. Your hormonal system will love it. Okay? Vicky, thanks for the questions. Okay. So guys, thank you. It's been a blast. We appreciate you guys. We're going to be sending out more and more information on the blood tests that we like. Okay? You'll see that coming in emails and that over the next few weeks. Okay? Hey guys, we love you dearly and we'll talk to you soon.